Hello, everybody. Welcome to The Purpose Effect, the space where we get honest, we get intentional, and we get aligned with the life God designed us for. I am Alicia, and I host on Mondays, and my co-host David does it on Wednesdays, and we do it together on Fridays. So our mission is simple, you guys. It's to help you stop floating through life and to start living with purpose, intention, and clarity. And I will tell you guys, today I have an amazing guest on. I am so excited. You are going to be blown away as you begin to hear his story and how he has really chosen to live a life of purpose and intention as well. So I have on Ricky V, you guys. Let me just tell you a little bit about him. He's originally from Peru. He actually came to the States when he was 5 years old. He dropped out of college and he joined network marketing. He became the youngest and fastest millionaire during that time in his company. And here's what I love is he's happily married with 4 kids. And get this, you guys, one of his favorite things is being a dad. How cool is that? And it's just super awesome. So Ricky, gosh, I'm so excited to have you here. I was again watching some of your stuff before we hopped on, and just how purposeful you are, how you live with intention, how you bring such amazing energy to what you do. And so I'm excited for you to share your story. Let's start with this. I know in there you just talked about how you came from Peru when you were 5 and you dropped out of college. What all happened in your life and all that time and really brought you to where you are today? Try to
My,
narrow that up in just a few minutes.
yeah, my life is a crazy story. I sometimes leave out certain things depending on, how much people want to hear. But yeah, I came here when I was 5. My parents, we were in an environment where there was like a lot of terrorism where I was from. And so like the last call my parents got, that was the main decision maker, was, hey, there's terrorists on the roof of your child's preschool. And so that day, my parents sold everything they had, which wasn't a lot, maybe couple $1,000. And they came to the States without an education, without any connections, without any job or any type of college degree either. So really, my story is not the hero story. It's them being the heroes of just making that move. But they started us here in this new world, and my mom was very adamant about adapting into the culture, learning the language, getting involved. So we had school, and then after school there was like my mom's school. Like there was extra textbooks, extra things to do, and I thank her for it. It helped me become a little bit more intellectual and higher with grammar, reading, math. So it served me well. When I was 13 years old, immigration knocked on our door to deport us back to Peru. My parents had hired a lawyer, and unfortunately, the lawyer hadn't done their job, and they just took the money, and we didn't know that there was 3 letters of deportation. So I saw my family get put into a van, and I ran. I ran, and I outran immigration. I'm a fast runner, still am to this day. So my kids think this is like the craziest story, but I did outrun them, and ended up at immigration headquarters, and they're basically saying, "Hey, we're gonna let you guys go because your passports are expired. So we'll let you go for a few weeks while we get it all reinstated. Then you guys are back to Peru." During that time, my parents had wonderful friends who were lawyers, attorneys, and they kind of came to bat for us, and they fought the system, and we were allowed to stay here and basically start over that entire process. So I didn't become a U.S. citizen until I was 24 years old. So for me, this is the greatest country in the world. I love being here, and I don't ever want to go back or get deported or any of those things. But nonetheless, that's kind of like the mini story. When I was during that time, or I guess throughout those years, when I was 18, I was clear that I wanted to do something big in life. Had no idea what it was going to be. But I wanted, there was like a burning desire to do something great. And I didn't know what it was. So I didn't plan on going to college, but I ended up going anyways because I still wasn't clear on what I wanted to do. So I enrolled into college. A year into it, I remember failing my art class. And when I failed my art class, and also paid the bill for the art class, I was just like, wow, this was like a complete waste of time for me personally, because I remember talking to my counselor at the time saying, I know what I want to do. Can we skip this initial phase and just get into business? That's the route I wanted to go, but I had to go through all the electives, and I was like, I'm not going to do it. So dropped out, got into direct sales, network marketing, and it wasn't a fast start for me. I didn't know anything, and back then that's when like the whole Facebook thing started to
Mhm.
kind of take off, So I was like, wait a minute, because I was shy by nature to talk to people in person. So I was like, wow, on Facebook, I can be anybody I want to be, and I don't have to be scared to reach out to people. And so I just started to build a network and a database of people to talk to, immerse myself around. And as the years went by, it propelled my wife and I and our kids to great success, and we had some great home runs, and it's been a blessing for us.
So I hear you saying that you were more of an introvert, it sounds like at
Hmm.
first.
Yeah.
And so I love hearing that because one of the things, especially in network marketing, is I hear people say, I can't do it because I'm too introverted.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
clearly that's not the case. Anybody can do it. So I love
Yeah.
hearing that side of your story, but also you had to probably you had to have a lot of grit to get through a lot of that stuff over the years. I mean, you think of being sent back and come back and really fighting for what you got. So what tell me some more on how did that create that framework of pushing through, especially in like the network marketing business? We know it takes it's a powerful mindset that you have to really be successful in it.
Hmm.
How do you think your story helped with that, helped create that?
I think it helped tremendously because I didn't really become too fearful of a rejection. I always just tried to, like, even nowadays in business, my wife and I owned companies and things like that. And when we have good days, they're great. And then when we have bad days or things aren't going our way, my my framework is always, what's the worst case scenario here? And my worst case scenario is I have a roof over my head, I have food in the fridge, I have a lovely wife, amazing kids. Like, I already have achieved everything I could have ever wanted just on that side of things. And so that keeps me clear level headed. At the same time, when it comes onto the rejection thing, when you're running from immigration at age 13 to having someone just tell you no to your network marketing opportunity through voice message on Facebook, it's not that fearful, right? Like, all of a sudden you gain this different type of approach because you compare it to that. And then, of course, over the years, if you're taking daily actions towards what you're doing, you eventually become numb to the rejection and start to understand, the more no's I get, the closer I get to a yes. And so that's always just been my mentality behind things. And it's not the easy, it's like, I always tell people, you hear these wonderful success stories, like even this interview that we're doing, or other YouTube videos that you might watch. And sometimes people that achieve a certain level of success, there's not there's no ration behind it. It just, something happened, and we just try to make sense of it by putting it in a book or in an article or on a video. And in actuality, we all have kind of like our own path. But at some point, there's like some basic fundamentals of just continuing to do the actions daily always brings us closer to our goal, staying humble, being kind, being good to others, and just getting that good karma stacked up in your favor, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's really building that foundation to keep pursuing things. I think having those, having the powerful positive perspective, having the oh man, I gotta know, you know what, I'm gonna keep going and I'm gonna keep pursuing it. That doesn't derail me.
Correct.
I think those are powerful, but also, yeah, how do we help people? I think that's the other big thing I look at in my life is how can I help somebody else to to be able to realize that they can dream big. I mean, for me,
Hmm.
I look at for many years, I was just floating through life. I didn't even realize I was floating through life until it was like all of a sudden I went, oh my goodness, here I am almost 40 years old and I've just put all my dreams aside and I'm just floating. And so now living with intention and helping people to recognize that. And it does take work. Have you found in just in life in general, in network marketing and all that, that it's simple. It's not easy, but it's simple and it's not as we make it more difficult and challenging, I think.
Yeah, I would have to say so because again, it's just the boring stuff that leads us to big things in life, right? And so I always say for me, especially like whether I'm looking at like a company or whether I'm looking at whatever business venture it might be, my brain operates on insane amounts of simplicity. So I'll give you an example. My wife and I, she is the handy woman of the house. I'm not a handyman. Yeah, I grew up like I had my first job when I was 13. I did a ton of like labor work, and so I knew in my mind, I'm like, hey, the moment I have money, I'm hiring everyone for everything. My wife loves to learn, and she's really good at it and learning things and how to fix this, and so she enjoys that. Same thing, like if we go to IKEA and we purchase something, if you show me a an instruction manual with like 10, 12 to do, like I'll pass out. Like I can't. So my brain really operates on simplicity. And so you have to kind of look at your life and say, okay, or your business venture, right? It's like it is simple. It's really not like with direct sales and network marketing or whatever sales venture you're a part of, it's really just like a one, two, three. There's not a thousand things that we have to do. And that's always the cool part because I remember when I was 16 years old, I had my first over the phone sales job. And I remember my boss at the time was telling me, hey, you have to do 100 phone calls by like 1 p.m., right? Okay, awesome. Well, I remember watching the salesmen arrive, and they would go get their coffee. They would chit chat in the break room, hang out, and they wouldn't start to dial until like 11 a.m. So it was a 2 hour gap of not doing much. And I remember just saying, okay, if I'm going to beat these guys because they're twice my age, if I'm going to beat these guys, then I have to do 300 calls by 11 a.m. And I remember doing that, just 9 a.m. Boom, and I started down and started down and started dialing. And within 2 weeks, I was the top sales person in that company, and I carried that record for 2 years straight. But that wasn't anything like being extra gifted. It was just this whole concept of like, okay, how do I simplify this whole thing? And it was like, okay, I see these guys just in the break room. I'm gonna take advantage during that time, and I would just blitz through as much as I could. So it's just more of a numbers game for me. Same thing with network marketing. If we just simplify it to the approach of just reaching out to people, following up, and just doing those two things consistently extremely well, over time you can build whatever type of success you're looking for.
Yeah, it's that that everything is with intention and really going, okay, what's my ultimate goal? And I think that is what I love is we tend to overcomplicate things. I think it just is like humanity, we just, oh no, it has to be way more difficult
Yeah,
to be able to succeed and it's not. We just
yeah.
think that it has to be, but it really comes down to living with it with intention and going, okay, this is my goal. This is my purpose. I'm going to walk it out. And how do I do it? I mean, it's just, I think it's a powerful thing, especially when you look at, so if you go back to even your being in college and going, wait, I want to get here. Why am I having to do
Yeah,
all this stuff?
yeah.
My husband talks about that a lot too. I have a master's
Oh
in
wow.
counseling, but my husband just did a couple of years in higher ed and it's funny like we talk about the difference in that and for him too he it was the exact same thing of wait I have to take these classes to get here, why do I have to do this?
Yeah.
Because he knew his purpose and I think you also you knew your purpose, you knew what you were going for and you were just you kept pursuing it. What if somebody is at a point in their life and they're going, okay, I want to try this. Like I want to not network marketing, but just living a life of purpose, living a life of intention. What would be some things that you would suggest that they to really break it down to the basics? Where should they start?
I think the first thing is always just being able to like craft the vision of the life that you want, right? So and that can go back to vision boards and all those things. But I remember I think it was a book called like The Psychology of Money, and it talks about different type of investment approaches. And it just talks about how the people that talk about winning in the stock market really probably came in at a time when it boomed, and maybe someone talking negative about the stock market, it was in a moment where they invested and the market was down, whatever it is. But one of the things that stuck out to me a ton was when he said that you should make investments that allow you to sleep at night. And I remember at the time I was investing into a lot of crypto. Now I had no education on crypto. I'm just trying to find these little coins that'll pop off. And I remember being up at all times throughout the night, just just seeing, did it go up, did it go down? It didn't let me sleep at night. And so I kind of, if you look at someone trying to create a new path, it's like, what kind of life do you really want to live, right? So for me, it was like, I know that there's other things that I could do to earn additional income, but if it takes time away from my wife and kids, I just won't do it. It's just not something that I'm willing to negotiate. So for me, or my advice would be, start to create the vision of where you want to be over the next 24 months, over the next 5 years, because a lot of the times we really do, we forget how much can change in 24 months. Like sometimes we're like, oh, like in 20 years and 30 years, but it's like you realize that you can change your life pretty drastically in 90 days, almost a complete 180 in 12 months. And then in 24 months, you're just like living in a world where you're just, how did this whole thing happen? So for me, I always break it down to the simple thing. When I start over, it's always just, okay, what do I want to build? And I go to Google Images, I type in the images of the things that I want, I print them off, I build kind of my timeline, and I just get after it. So that's what I would start with everybody, is just saying, hey, what do you want to build? Where do you see yourself traveling to? What kind of house? What kind of experiences? And put the whole roadmap together, because ultimately that's the thing that's going to keep the passion alive. Like a network marketing product or a network marketing compensation plan is not what fires you up when you wake up in the morning. Like no one looks at like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to, get these, whatever it might be. But when you wake up in the morning and you stare at these images, you're just like, man, like, can it happen for me? I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna keep at it, even in my like, and that really affects your energy as well. Like there will be times where I will pull out my vision board and I'll lay it across the table here, and as I'm reaching out to people and talking, I'm looking at these images and I'm just seeing it coming to my world. It changes the way I talk to people. It changes my energy, my excitement about life. It draws people faster to me. That's how I would start, is just laying out the foundation of what you want to build in your life.
Oh, I love that because it really goes back to the why. Why do we do what we do? And I think oftentimes there's no awareness there. Like people
Hmm.
just don't, they're not aware. They don't take the time to go, why am I pursuing this? Or why am I doing this? Or what is the purpose for things? We just take it as it comes and we're very reactive. And so it's creating a life of being very proactive and saying, here's where you want to get to. Now,
Hmm.
how do we get there? But if you don't even have where do I want to go? You don't even know how to get there. Like you don't even know how to
Correct.
create a plan. And so I love that. I think that's where I've over the last few years have done vision boards, and I actually just finished my 2026 one just the other day. And it's fun to see how they're changing and how it's shifting. And I'm dreaming bigger. I know for me in the beginning of 2025. Uh, God just so clearly told me like 2025 is going to be big, and I was like, man, what do you mean by that? I just began to go, okay, what does that mean? And how does this play out? And my husband, we end up getting into land development and we bought
So,
76 acres and we're in the process
wow.
of it. But it's because I was willing to dream. It was because I was willing to go, okay, there's something bigger. What's bigger out there instead of living in fear. And I think you've both experienced a life of like actual fear of where you're having to hide. You're fearful of just one, the safety. It sounds like even as a little child, but then also immigration and all of that stuff. And so you've propelled that into momentum that is just powerful to hear your story and how you've overcome so much. And not only that, it's not even that you've overcome it, but you've excelled because of it.
Mhm.
And your positivity. I was watching one of your videos and you were talking about how excited you are for 2026 and you just know that 2026 is going to be big. And I have that same expectation. It's just so crazy. Like I don't I just know it's big. Um, One of my questions then on that is, have you come up with your word for 2026 yet?
You know what? For me, because I've been thinking about that so much, and I saw. someone post on the app Threads the other day. It said, "What's your word?" And so I just went to the comments really quick to think of like what I was going to put, and the only word I came with was pivot, which was like kind of random.
That.
But I think that we've been working on these projects and these things over the last 5 years, which has been awesome. Now we're just in a moment in our lives where, okay, now we're going to pivot and go into like almost like a new sector, a new industry, new things. And so that's the only thing that came to my mind, other than the regular cliche of uh just trying to excel as much as I can in every area of my life. That's ultimately, so for me it's like uh being a dad is my favorite thing. Being a husband is my favorite thing, and then everything comes after that. So as long as those things are taken care of, everything's okay. And so now my wife are in a point in our life where we're like, okay, what does the next 10 years look like? Does it look like the last 10 years of doing network marketing, or does it look like, hey, we're getting into now different areas? And so we're pivoting. We're doing a lot of cool things, a lot of cool projects that we're working on, and we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I think pivot would be the word of the year for us.
Oh, that's a great word. Though I will tell you, every time I think of pivot, I think of the Friends episode and Ross yelling pivot in the
That's so funny.
stairs. But I think pivot is so powerful because oftentimes we allow life circumstances and changes to derail us. And instead of just saying, I'm not like life isn't going to derail me, I'm just going to pivot
Hmm.
and use every opportunity that comes my way to either learn and grow and to let it shape me. I know I follow a lot of Eric Worre's stuff, and one of the favorite things that he says is plan, do, review. And I think that's a powerful thing to always be doing is planning it, but also doing it. I think there's so many people that get lost from the planning it to the doing it and they never do it. But then the really big one is in the reviewing of going, okay, let's look back over, like you said, you and your wife have looked over the last 10 years and look, okay, now what's the next step? You're taking the time to look back, to review, and to shift.
Hmm.
And that is such a powerful thing. I think the more that we can help others to recognize that power too of, okay, guys, here part of living a life of purpose, living a life of intention, you have to do those steps. My
Yeah.
husband and I just took 24 hours over the weekend to just him and I connect and go over what are our goals for 2026. What's
So
our,
fun.
both financially, our business stuff, our family, our own relationship together, and just even as individuals. And it's just a cool thing to do that with the idea that I don't think most people do. Most
Yeah.
people don't do that,
Mm-mm. They don't.
and
It
it's
and
sad.
and that is the reality, right? And it doesn't, like, again, sometimes we over complicate things, right? Because there's even like weekend seminars on how to design this whole life, and that's great, going in depth. But sometimes just taking a day away and just saying, hey, what do I want, to build in this area, that area, this area, and ultimately I just continue to do things in life that just bring you joy and peace. I think that's the biggest thing. We all want to go to sleep at night feeling good. We always want to wake up feeling good, go through our days full of joy. So sometimes what brings me joy isn't the same thing that might bring you joy, right? At this point in my life, if I can go volunteer at my children's school a couple times a week, that brings me a ton of joy, right? So some of the things that used to matter, like getting a nice car or whatever, don't matter as much these days. In fact, now it's more of like the opposite. How can I simplify my life even more? It's what we go through different phases, but it's not. What I'm trying to say is just take a moment, figure out some of the things that you want to go for, and then just get after it.
Yeah, and just do it. And I think, you talked about like the most important thing in your life is your wife and your kids. And what you're doing is you're demonstrating to them how to live a life of purpose, how to live a life of intention. And what a powerful thing for your kids to be able to see that and to almost be ahead of the game for most people because not everybody has that, the parents that live with intention.
Mm,
And so what an awesome legacy that you are leaving for your kids, that you're truly living out
mm.
the power of that. So I love that. So okay, what if With the positive mindset, with looking at perspective and being very intentional in choosing um, joy, in choosing gratitude, what are some do you have any specific stories in your life where you were at where you were at a point in your life where it could have gone either way? You could have either chosen to go, well, I'm just going to give up and say I'm done. And I know you've shared, but anything that comes to mind where you specifically said, I am choosing gratitude or I am choosing joy today, and how did that change the rest of your life? I know
Yeah,
that's a
it's
loaded
so,
question. Can you figure out one?
well, it's just so funny because I've had probably two times throughout my life in as an entrepreneur where I've gotten so frustrated. I've taken the vision board, put it in the trash and then just taken it out, because we have those frustrating moments. I was telling my wife on Friday night, I'm like, I do have moments in my life where I'm like, for like, is it sometimes I'm up early every day, and when I'm up early, it's 5 a.m. Everyone's asleep. I'm by myself. It's dark. I'm listening to like a meditation audio, and I just have my eyes closed, and I'm thinking of these things that I want to build for me and my family mentally. And all of a sudden, the thought comes in: is this the corniest thing like ever that I'm doing right now? Or like I could literally be sleeping for 2 more hours, but I'm choosing to like wake up and be like kumbaya type of thing, or read and all those. And I sometimes wonder, and so when I stop doing those things, I feel like there's something missing in my life, right? And so it kind of brings me back to like, no, I know that this is what I'm supposed to be doing. So there's been moments throughout my life, but I remember back in 2019, it was another pivotal moment in my life where I was financially, we were just completely just shot. There wasn't a lot going for us. And I remember at that time just continuing to every day, hey, I know great things are coming, good things and I remember just consistently choosing to go that route versus like, sitting in a moment of just frustration for too long. I feel like it's okay to be frustrated, but the question is if you're frustrated for a month, for a week, for a day versus just like a specific moment. So I think that that's what entrepreneurship has taught me, is just learning how to be frustrated in a moment, not drag it out through the whole day. But I remember going through those moments consistently throughout. It was November of 2019, and then just wondering. But there was a lot of questions like, what do I do now? Where do I go? What's going to happen? But I remember just, I specifically during that time, I used to talk to my friends. No, like something big is going to happen. There was just this excitement, this hope. I didn't know what it was, and I remember I joined a network marketing company at that time, and within 3 months, um, our lives changed. Within 3 months, we were six figures a month. 8 months later, six figures a week, and our organization ended up doing whatever 400 million in probably 36 months or less. It was pretty insane. And so I kind of look back at those moments of like, man, they're unexplainable. Like you can't, like I could try to write a book about it and be like, oh, step one, but I don't know. Sometimes it's just the right time, the right opportunity, the right everything just kind of aligned perfectly. And I'm like, man, had I not been in a moment of like gratitude or preparation, or hey, I know something good is coming, I don't know that I would have seen that, right? Because we miss it sometimes. So I think that that's one of the, I guess, the memories I can look back on and share with you, is just that even in the frustrating moments, just learn to figure out what else is there, because there is an actual science. I actually have it in my notebook somewhere, but there is an actual science to having a positive expectancy, right? Period. Like if you have this expectancy that it is going to all turn out for the better, first of all, it's going to make you feel better, even if it's a lie, right? Like, like sometimes we got to lie to ourselves, like, oh, life is good. And internally, you're like, no, bro, like life actually sucks right now, Uh, but, uh, but just having that hope, that hope and that belief that something is coming, I think that there's definitely a power to that, and that's helped me a lot throughout my life.
Yeah, I think in fact it's funny that you say that because my son last night is they just went back to school after having 2 weeks
Okay.
off for Christmas break, and he's like, "Mom, I'm really not excited, but I'm telling myself I'm excited." And I said, "You know what? That is powerful. Even though you
Yeah.
don't feel it at the moment, it
Yeah.
does. Your mind begins to go, wait, oh, maybe I am excited." And it's being intentional with it and just shifting it,
Yeah.
and so I just love that. And I also think when you talked about it's okay to be frustrated. It's okay to have those
Hmm.
moments, but the choice is how long do we stay in them? And I think
Hmm.
that is what's so powerful is when you talk to people and they're like, "Oh, I've been in this for years." And it's like, "What?" Like you can actually choose to not stay in that negativity, to not stay in that woe is me state and that frustration and actually go, "Okay, now what can I do with it?" And the cool thing is we all have the choice of how long do we want to stay in it.
Yeah.
And you've demonstrated, yeah, it's you stayed in it, you saw it, you felt it, and then you moved through it quickly, you acknowledged it, and then you moved through it
Yeah.
and came out the other end. And that what a powerful story. So I just really appreciate you sharing that and and just giving people hope. I look at especially the network marketing industry. For me, I when I joined, I had no experience in it, and I've just been in it for 2.5 years. It has changed my life.
Mm.
Every single area of my life, it has impacted, and it's really neat to see how it has impacted so many other people, including yourself. And it's just yeah, it's a very powerful industry
Yeah.
and getting the word
Yeah.
out there, I think of letting people know, hey, this can change your life. This industry that like I knew nothing about, but it's just powerful. So, okay, let's. I want to wrap up with one really, I guess, one last question. What is one habit? And I know you've hit on them, but wrap up. What is one habit that's changed everything for you?
One habit. I mean, I could describe one habit in different areas of my life, whether it's like intellect, spiritual, financial. I think when if we're catering to like business or network marketing or those that are in direct sales, always growing a database of people. I've never had to wonder who I'm going to talk to because many years ago I made the decision that I was going to build a massive database of people. And so it started off with just on an Excel sheet. And I remember just growing my, because I'm sure you and I connected because I probably sent you a friend request, right? So for me, I've always stayed in the zone of sending a friend request and not just being like, oh, awesome, they accepted, but just reaching out, hey, great to connect with you. I'm enjoying your content. And then your name would in essence go on an Excel sheet because you just never know if Facebook shuts down your account or whatnot. So I've always just been in that habit of continuing to grow my database. And as it grows, always going back to the first person and reaching out every single day. I'm reaching out to 10, 15 people on my database just to touch base. Hey, happy new year. Hope you had a great holiday season, whatever it might be. And 10 people a day. And at the end of, and while I'm doing that, I'm growing my database. So at the end of like a year, my database might have grown by 500, 600 new people. I figured out a way to keep in touch with them by consistently going through 10, 10, 10, 10, 10 a day. And that's been my biggest habit when it comes down to starting or launching a new business venture. I don't have to wonder who I'm reaching out to. I have a few thousand people I could at that point reach out to.
Oh, that is so powerful because that is you actually sent me a voice text.
Okay.
And it was so powerful. I was like, what? This guy just voiced like, wow. And it just really stood out. And I think the power of that is it's all life is all about connection and
Hmm.
relationship. I mean, that's real. I look at that's why we're created is for relationship and connection. And so you did an amazing job by just connecting and
Thank you.
reaching out. And it made a huge impact on me. So I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
And I think that's just so powerful. So that what a great tool. I have, uh, yeah, it's just powerful. So I really appreciate it. I appreciate your time today, Ricky. I know
Of
that
course.
your time is valuable. And so I appreciate it. I appreciate you taking the time to connect with me and to just share about your story and your life and the choices that you've made to be intentional with your purpose and to impact others. And so, anything else that you want to say before we wrap this episode up?
Not much other than it's been great connecting with you. So congratulations on your podcast and continuing to push that forward. I'll make sure to keep an eye on it.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Ricky. Okay, guys, thank you for listening to The Purpose Effect. If today's episode spoke to you, share it with a friend. You guys subscribe. We're on all major platforms. And here's the thing, help spread the word, you guys. We are all about living a purpose-driven life. So remember, you are called, you are capable, and you were created with intention. Now go and live it, you guys.